for instance, getting a scan and a comsat. Getting scanner, right? A lot of people are aware that you should get a scanner, you know, because you want to detect. But a lot of people seem to just think, oh yeah, just throw it in there, no big deal, just willy-nilly. I mean, it's really only 50-50, and the Academy's only 150. But I mean, if you think about it, that 150 minerals at the Academy, that's like almost a factory. So in a sense, you're saying, do I want to have detection, or do I want to have an early push? I was actually casting with Greetor the other day in the wonderful Europe versus Asia Showmatch series, and he said something absolutely brilliant. He said, if Zerg forces Protoss to make one cannon, that's one less gateway that Protoss gets. Isn't that just great when you think about it that way? So yeah, 50 minerals and 50 gas might seem free, but already we're seeing that in this game, White-ra, by skipping this warp gate research, was able to get the Stargate out much faster and still get his Stalker up on time. So really, really like that play by White-ra. It's fine to be creative with that sort of thing. What you'll probably note is that if you pick one build and do it again and again and again and again and again and again, you'll see those little pieces of refinement come up. And White-ra, see, I think this is really smart to move up with the Stalker. Didn't that look silly that he just ran up with the Stalker, got shot, and ran back in shame? Look, he even looks like he's sulking on his way out with his little saunter. But shields heal so fast, and he got one hit in on a Marine. Super easy. I mean, look, already the Stalker is at 35 shields, going to be healing back up. Humorously enough, Maka ends up just floating his factory here and seeing exactly what's up. Probably saw that pylon earlier on. Very smart move by him, not getting that those factory units too early, just floating it right away. So of course this is an opening that many know and love, which is the Void Ray opening. We just get Void Rays and try to win immediately, but there's some cool other things that are going to happen from White-ra. Now he's getting Warp Gate, just reordering that a little bit, doesn't necessarily need all of those gateway units. Getting 2 Stalkers, interesting. Why 2 Stalkers? Because the narrowness of these alleys, you want to have Stalkers so that you can get good concaves. I mean, right here is a nice little concave for units coming out of this shrubbery. It's a little bit harder to jam a bunch of Zealots in there at first, and of course with Stalkers we can put a little bit of early pressure on. Maka cleverly building a bunker, also now getting these Vikings. Maka's doing the one of each build. He's getting his factory, he's getting his starport out, and this is one of the reasons that he loves doing that. He can get this Viking out to do a little bit of damage to this Void Ray. Not a lot of damage, as we can see. The Void Ray just sort of chased it down and shot it to death. But look at this little bit of brilliance by White-ra, killing the reactor. Oh my god, oh my god, how smart is that? Oh my god. Oh, ooh, right? So, people tend to see the obvious things. You know, kill workers. Yeah, I'll do that. Killing workers is good. Killing depots is good. It gets supply blocked. And I mean, with a lot of buildings, like these little tiny buildings, like creep tumors or add-ons for Terran, they take so damn long to build that if you can kill one, you severely hinder your opponent's ability to just make stuff. So I love his play killing off that reactor. Again, this is like a time victory that he pulled himself, not so much a mineral victory. And of course, we're starting to see some great micro by Maka. That range 9 on the Vikings is very, very, very cool. So of course here comes the Void Ray trying to shoot, but of course Maka abusing the range 9. Look at his ability to do that. And of course in very Korean-esque style, Maka is getting the reactor on the barracks, making a lot of Marines. He's almost forced to make Marines. If too many Void Rays get out and it's just Vikings, he's screwed. And there of course we see some shrapnel landing. A Phoenix pops out a little bit too late. This game is just crazy. I just want to state for the record, this game is awesome. Delighted to be casting it. So of course the Phoenix does a little bit of zapping action before it backs off. And interestingly, Maka is making Hellions as well. He's getting a lot of Marines. Hellions I think are very smart. Zealots are super strong against Marines. Just throw some Hellions in the mix to do a little bit of extra damage. Maka trying to land here in this nice little corner, trying to do a little shooting action here. And already we're going to see some cool instances of micro here, where the Terran player is trying to bounce up and down as much as he can. And look at this, trying to like switch these guys around and keep good spotting here. More Zealots coming out. 4 Warp Gate transition to White-ra, and he's getting a Twilight Council. Why is that? Because no one wants to expand on this map. It's too scary to expand, right? It's very dangerous. And look at this nice sniping action as he moves these Vikings up, shooting at the Phoenix, and White-ra snipes off the Viking. So awesome, loving this. And of course more Phoenixes being produced just to deal with these Vikings a little bit more easily. Phoenixes do have light armor, so they don't quite take as much damage. And this is an interesting play by White-ra. He starts spreading out pylons. He needs to build them anyways, but he spreads them out at the north, and this will allow him to do a little bit of spotting action for anything that he sees coming. And look at how brilliant this is. Getting the Zealot leg speed upgrade. He knows his opponent is making a ton of Marines. He scouted that with his Void Ray. He sees how high this Marine count is. You heard me say earlier, Zealots are fantastic against Marines. So no reason not to get a lot of Marines. Or excuse me, no reason not to get a lot of Zealots. No reason not to get the speed. And of course getting the Templar Archives. Already very weird match. Look at how many tech structures both players have and how many expansions both players don't have. And by the way, I love when I see a player be very creative with his add-ons. Look, he's getting these Marine add-ons at this barracks that has the reactor. He has this other barracks with Tech Lab making the Marauders, but these other two buildings, he's just making units out of them one at a time. Again, it might not feel like that much time to throw down a Tech Lab or to throw down a reactor. But if you don't absolutely need one of those, there's no reason to get that add-on. You can get an adequately sized army, no problem at all. And of course White-ra thinking about expanding, but not yet wanting to commit to it yet. I'm going to open up this resource tab here, so that way we can take a look at this. And you see that both players pretty damn even in food. And of course, while I open up this resource tab, because I'm certain that any of you watching live on Ustream right now see that Ustream logo on the top right, but Greased Scotsman, the wonderful Quake commentator, is spoke to Ustream, and they're going to be moving that overlay because Ustream is awesome. So big thanks to Greased Scotsman, and big thanks to Ustream for being the new streaming platform that everyone's using nowadays. So with Destructible Rocks going down, interesting push path from Maka. Why is he choosing this push path? There's no shrubs here. There's a little bit more room. He can get a bigger concave. And here's like a really simple just thing to chew on, simple idea to think about. The reason being fast is so useful as a unit is that it allows you to get a bigger concave. Easy peasy, right? You need a big concave, so more of your units, here's my concave, right? More of your units are hitting, I'm not going to use my hands anymore. You want to have a big concave, so more of your units are shooting his, and less of his units are shooting yours. Obvious, right? Everyone knows how a concave works, but for instance, Zergling speed upgrade, it's kind of interesting to note that in Starcraft II and in Starcraft I, Zerglings with speed were so effective against Zealots. Why is that? Well, because the Zerglings wrap around the Zealots really easily when they have speed. When the Zerglings are slow, the Zealots actually get a much nicer concave and it's harder to wrap around them. So if you have a very fast mobile army, you want to have a decent space to sort of spread out in. So for instance, a Marine Marauder army, it doesn't want thin, tiny passages because then it's a little bit too vulnerable to like Colossi and Storm. It doesn't want huge wide open spaces because then it can get easily surrounded. It wants like a middle-ish sort of thing where it can spread out and get enough of a concave to be really effective, but not so much that, but not so big a space that again it gets surrounded. So I'm loving his decision to move down here. Has a lot of space to deal with. There's not too much crazy stuff in the middle. There's no shrubbery like this. And look at how narrow these passages are. Again, I mentioned this concave. Notice how just follow my mouse, how there's a big concave you can make like this if there's an army trying to squeeze through here. Likewise, if Terran's trying to push through here, big concave that Protoss can throw down there. So absolutely loving this decision to move up through this valley. Interesting little unit mix. These Vikings that were originally just used to deal with the Void Rays are now being used as spotters. Medevac can also be a spotter. Don't be scared to use your Medevac as a spotter, just to a little poke forward and poke back. But notice, neither player has expanded. Cool aggression. And I mean, look, not even any plans to expand. No command center anywhere in this main. And the big push up the Destructible Rocks. I am trying my hardest to avoid one control group syndrome. I've recently just artificially spreading them out, just selecting 5 Zealots, making them a control group, selecting 2 more Zealots, making them a control group. Because, oh my god, look at how the one control group syndrome harmed Terran there. All of those units got stormed so nicely, and of course warping in more Templar, but he doesn't have that upgrade. Oh, this upgrade's so important. The upgrade that allows your Templar to spawn with 75 energy. That warp in is so huge. So, of course, we have the good old full out-and-out retreat. And it's so smart by White-ra expanding in the midst of this attack down here. Great decision to expand right here. And to be entirely honest, if a Terran was attacking here, I would not mind at all if White-ra expanded down here to this backside. It might be a little bit difficult to defend. Definitely more difficult to defend than this Expo, but still. It's a reasonable choice to make, regardless. So of course, look at more of these spotter pylons by White-ra. Terran moving up here. Maka with his very marine-centric army also has that combat shield upgrade. Notice that actually skipped the Marauder concussive shell upgrade, favoring these marine upgrades. Very, very Korean style, very Asian server-esque. And here comes White-ra. Here comes an erupting volcano just to distract you a little bit. And look at the food disparity. Maka really surging forward. Still only has these unit-producing structures and is basically adding Hellions onto his 2 barracks mix. Very deadly army right now. I mean, really, these Hellions, not only do they deal a lot of damage to the Zealots, but they can also absorb a decent amount of hits. They do have quite a lot of life, 90.